this is the first international Shingertunde.
Yes, I love it. Rooftop.
So I'm intrigued about what you're up to, B.
Yeah.
You know, you've got your own celeb, which I think is fantastic, you little bugger. But what's really interesting for me is you're now working with brands. You're working with the element of comedy, which is something you come naturally to you. I assume you don't have to work at it so much anymore.
You got to work at everything worth preserving. But yeah.
Do you think that humor then also, the comedic value helps make a brand more human, more accessible?
Yes. I mean, humor is truth, right? It is your truth. I'm not saying that there is one truth. I'm not suggesting that, but it gets at the core of who you are. What you laugh at says a lot about who you are, because laughter bypasses the conscious mind. It is a gut and intuitive and instinctive reaction. And what you think of as funny, what you put out into the world as humor, says a lot about your character and your values, etc. So as a brand, as a company, as a public figure, as any sort of entity with attention wrapped around you, what you think of as humorous reveals something about you.
Yeah.
And we know we're stripping away the layers of artifice that have separated us from each other, from our governments, from our financial institutions, from our commercial relationships. It's no different. And I think humor is a great sort of revealer of the truth within us, not just out there in the world. So yeah, I think humor is absolutely important in humanizing all of us.
And do you think that when you do, in your experience, when working with brands, is it challenging to get them beyond thinking about memes? Animated GIFs and cats and dogs and
I would be very happy if I never heard the phrase viral video or memes before. Can you make me a viral video? Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. If someone who promises that, they're manipulative, deceptive.
And it's not going to work.
Yeah, like there are key elements, of course, but to guarantee virality is to deceive lightly at a minimum.
Sure.
I think what we have found is that there are multiple ways to be funny. And there are multiple ways to employ wit and humor and even just cleverness. It doesn't have to be laugh out loud. It just has to be warmer, right? It has to be a little more subtle. And humor often allows people to get at that. One way is to make fun of yourself. Yeah. So I'll get very specific. There are ways to look at your reactions with your customers. I still remember a great case. The San Francisco Chronicle years ago created a podcast of ranting phone calls to their editorial desk. People complaining about typos and coverage and bias in the media. And they just put that out there, roughly 5 a week. No editorial commentary, just we got this call, here it is. And it was naturally funny, but it was revealing and it was honest and it was real. And it showed them as human because you got to feel what they felt. And instead of seeing them as an institution that you could hate at a distance, you saw them as people who got phone calls that you might get and maybe you wouldn't want to get. Even that was a smart indicator of how you could be more human through humor. And that was very indirect. They weren't writing jokes.
What are you concerned about in regards to not being get? I mean, the challenge with humor is that if it's done in a way that sort of creates an enormous amount of energy, like an Arrested Development as an example, or series, is that for you? Is that where you want to get to in terms of understanding what brands can get to as well, and bring that together in a way that's cultivated? Or do you feel like, okay, leave that for the mainstream, that's something else, but when we talk about brands and humor in a way that makes it really dynamic is a different format? It shouldn't be TV, it shouldn't be a video, it should be a combination of all of it?
I have no format bias. I am not here on behalf of big video or big Twitter or big Tumblr or big microblog. I'm here on behalf of voice and expression and humanity, really. And so the tools that you use matter far less to me than what you're saying with them. Yeah. In terms of not getting got in the humor, that's part of the path. You know, no one is universal. Coca-Cola, one of the biggest brands in the world. Michael Jackson was one of the biggest brands in the world. Jay-Z, there are people who hate them and will go to the mat attacking them because of something or another. And some of them probably have really good reason too. Personal, professional, ecological, whatever it is. Like, there's no universal love. There's no such thing. So that's all right, let's remove that unachievable as the bar. How do you develop deeper relationships with those you already have? How do you expose something new about yourself that people never saw? How do you bring some new people to the table who wouldn't have heard you when you were preaching or pontificating before, like I am right now, and instead just being you, my opinion. So.
Thanks for hanging out with me,
Thank
B.
you, Shingy.
Shingertunde.
We make animated video that is informative and comedic, and then we wrap that in a social promotion campaign because we speak that language natively. And then we wrap that in bacon, because bacon is delicious, and then we wrap that in mainstream media. The bacon layer is the most essential of all the things I just described.